Dave here, and today we're going to do another video, and this time we're going to do an art session. And it's kind of a demo, a sketchbook sketching session, and we're just here to do some random stuff. Oh, by the way, for my shit, you're not seeing shit from me. If I hit the first scene, I believe, you can see my Clip Studio Paint on. By the way, I did introduce a new concept in my workflow, and it's called the the fuck me. Hopefully it works now. There you go. There's this thing called sub view. You can find it in the window and over here. And I did add a shortcut. For me, it's S. It's my personal shortcut, and you can actually load a bunch of images. You can drag and drop, or you can hit this import thingy, and find your reference photos. And for me, I took a bunch of screenshots from the anime Muv-Luv. So it's a focused mecha focused anime. And I just like the forms of the mechs more. And I'm very into mechs. Gundam, Evangelion, Muv-Luv. And I just feel like I should do more studies than doodles in this kind of series. Just because I'm not actually learning much if I just keep doodling away. I actually feel like, or not just feel, but I do know that I need to do more practice or sessions where I just study a bunch of stuff. And the aim is, or the idea is, that over time my visual library just hopefully it builds up over time. But then again, it takes forever. Well, not forever, but it's going to take years before something is ingrained in you. But maybe by painting or sketching a lot of the same subjects, you're going to get sort of a sixth sense for it, and that's kind of the aim I have. So my approach now is just to do a bunch of studies with reference, of course, and to just learn as much as I can in terms of the parts of a mech, the way the edges are done, the details. And yeah, so let's begin. So I do recommend incorporating the sub view for your sketching session. Well, not just sketching sessions, but if ever you need reference, you can just bring in a photo with this window turned on. And if you do hit this guy, it automatically color picks what you click on. So anyway, let's begin. So I'm going to hide this for now because it's not necessary for the most part. And yeah. So I'm going to limit myself first with, by the way, my canvas size is it's 6,000 by 3,000. It's a pretty longitudinal kind of canvas. And yeah, the idea is to fill an entire page of it with a bunch of sketches. So let's begin. Let us begin. So this kind of reference is actually hard to see, just because the background is blue, or almost like cyan blue. And whenever I'm doing studies, I'm kind of weirded out, or not weirded out, but confused whether I should do more line work or do more shapes. What I mean by that is, should I focus on the like this, should I do more this, or should I like focus more on silhouettes and stuff like that? Um, and again, the thing about studies is it's kind of hard. Like, should I study one to one? Because I know it helps to study one to one sometimes. Um, but at the same time, I do want to get the anatomy of what I'm studying. Like, I want to understand the forms, the shapes, and it's hard to do that. Like, you're almost always compelled to follow the reference you have on the side. So I know this part is a gun. I'm just going to randomly do that. Maybe I'm using the wrong brush. Like, I just want to be able to get the gist of the parts. Kind of like Shinku Kim. If you've seen the sketches of Shinku Kim, the way he does mechs, and I think he does use this kind of brush where it's more like flat. I did an art review of his work, and I do recommend you check out his portfolio. He has a lot of these sketches where it's very, very sketchy, but it looks like an actual mech. And I like it. So let me just erase this guy. Even I think studying is a skill in itself that you have to learn. So I'll try a different brush. It's still an oily brush, but it's... Again, it's hard because the background is white. Or not white, but light blue. So it's almost blinding to the eyes. I do know there's a gun here. And I think as you keep doing these sorts of studies one to one, eventually or over time you can take away something from it, like something gets implanted inside of you. Now obviously it's not a one-time thing. I think doing studies ought to be more of a lifestyle where it's just something you do. And I think it's important to sketch what you actually like to sketch instead of forcing yourself to, what is this? So this part, I'm not sure what this is. But anyway. Shit. What was I talking about? I'm not sure. But yeah. Yeah, sketch what you like and don't force yourself to study things that don't really interest you. Because why not double down on something you already like to do? I think that would make more sense. So right now you can see me just be more impressionistic. Now this part right here, it's kind of hard to see just because it's in shadow and it has a very high exposure. So most of all of these screenshots loaded in the subview in Clip Studio Paint is from episode 1 of the Muv-Luv anime series. I think there's a new one. It's kind of like a reboot or an alternative version of the series. But I'm focusing on the old one. I'm not sure what the full name is, but just search for Muv-Luv. And yeah. Here we have a shield. So maybe I should focus more on the big stuff. And so when I'm also doing studies, I don't want to do or use a lot of layers. I want to actually get good at painting directly. Because it's fun and it obviously gives me more confidence and yeah, this part right here is hard to see. Again, because of the shadows, but we'll make do with what we have. So it's going to be a mix of seeing shapes and at the same time seeing impressions and at the same time seeing some contours, you know, contour lines. I'm not sure what this part is right here, but I like it. And I want to learn how to do the sci-fi bits here. Um, like the chunks of armor, like how it's separated, how it's segmented. I want to learn that. And I think the best way to do that is to do a bunch of studies. So you can see in this side right here, if we expand this, it's going to be in shadow. And I don't think it's I don't think it's a bad idea to just color pick. So in a way, I am kind of like tracing, but it's not tracing. I'm trying to break down the shapes and stuff. So I'm not exactly doing everything. I'm pretty focused right now. Or I'm trying to limit the session and focus more on trying to recreate the parts. And so that I can create my own stuff with this kind of information. The colors, I can just color pick. And it just makes things easier. And again, I don't even have to follow things one-to-one as much, but I think it helps. If it's close enough, it's fine. For as long as I get to study the parts. So I know there's a breaking point here. You'll notice I'm a bit all over the place with this one. And I keep skipping, like I'm going around and around and around. Yeah. Anyway. And I'm still not sure what the proper time to study is. Or how long should I study. I guess it depends on how much time you have, so you're going to have to make do with what you have. So right now, it's kind of late. And I think I have about an hour to just do this. Or maybe 30 minutes. Fuck. So I'm pretty much running out of time, so shits. How can I recreate this image with less brushstrokes? Because there are a lot of parts here, so how do I save time and be more direct? And how can I communicate an idea without being as detailed? And I think that is the idea of Impressionism. So that is something that I could actually learn to hone. I'd recommend checking out the work of John Park. Now for him, he does use a lot of layers, and he's not a very sketchbook kind of person. Based on his portfolio, he's more like he does environments, and like each sketch is kind of like one file in Photoshop. So he does a lot of planning in that way, but he's still very efficient though. I do recommend checking out some of his tutorials on Gumroad. And yes, I did an art review of his work, so just check the description there of that video, and you can find all of his links listed. And so hopefully I get better doing these studies. Shit, I keep changing the brush size, and maybe that's not being as effective. I think it's pushing me back. Or how can I... Shit. So maybe darks first. Manage the silhouettes. I'm going to delete this guy right here. There's another mech. So he's not very important, I think. And I think this is some kind of shield part, who knows? I mean, no shit. And yeah, you know, the last video I did on, it's an art talk I did, and the title is, where it's something about how you should quit dreaming. And if you're too focused on the future, chances are you're not making art and you're just imagining, and like you're more focused on the idea of making art than actually making art. And I did talk about how it's sad that it's a form of self-sabotage, and it's pathetic. It is. So how do I sketch a leg quickly? It's hard to be specific with a round brush like this, or with a very impressionistic brush. Given that this subject is pretty hard edged, very, very hard edged. So eventually you're going to have to make some decent cuts. I also recommend the work of Derek Zabrocki. He has a way of being efficient as well. Whenever he does his environments, he does like this kind of look where it's kind of oily. And yes, he does photo bash at the same time. And his work still looks amazing in the end. So, like, he knows how to blend photos pretty well while painting over it. And it's such a unique look. So how long have I been painting? 16 minutes-ish. My back hurts, by the way. Ooh, game, nasai. Hara. Yeah, so hopefully you're sketching with me at the same time. And yeah, let's make art, bros. And let's learn how to be efficient with our... I mean, I could do the layer thing where I fix the silhouette first, but again, I want to learn how to paint over my mistakes. So I want a bit of John Park, but at the same time, I want the boldness of J. Chale Park. He's another Park artist. They have the same last names. And he does a lot of... His brushwork involves a lot of like sketchy strokes. Like they go from big, I guess, and then he'll refine it stroke by stroke, kind of like this. And I think he uses a lot of blending modes to achieve this kind of look. So it's very iterative and impressionistic at the same time. Eventually, if he keeps painting over his subjects, and he does eventually use a finer, smaller brush size, eventually his work is going to look pretty much fully rendered or clean, kind of like this. Obviously his work is way better, but you get the point. I'm going to hit E and just erase this. Anyway, sorry. By the way, I have been procrastinating productively. Procrastinating the past 2 days. Well, not 2 days, but yesterday and today, I guess. I've been messing around with OBS Studio and just cleaning things up. When it comes to my video, audio, I did try doing a test live stream on YouTube. It wasn't listed, so you can't see it, and I eventually deleted it. But it's not for me. You know, my internet connection isn't that strong, and there's just too much to consider, and I'm just not that kind of person, I guess. I think it's better if I just record it by myself, alone. And it's kind of sad. There's less interaction, but I think in a way it helps me focus more on the study session than anything else. So, because in a way, if I have like a live chat, I'm kind of procrastinating as well. So Yeah. I could simplify this entire thing with one shape. As so. It, if I may. Some white here. Yeah, I want to learn how to I want to learn how it's masked. Is that a word? How it's like the massing of the mech. Maybe some contour lines here. So black here. Black here. And something on this side. So this one is a bit too big. Game. Right here, we'll make it white. Some gray shit here. Now I think this is more of a warm-up. I think eventually I'd have to do like some kind of line work where I break down the shit. Kind of like this, where this is a bad sketch, but you get the point. Eventually, I may have to break down some mech parts. But yeah. Can I finish like a good sketch in 30 minutes? I think so, but yeah, I need to be more efficient with my brushstrokes here. What's my brush size? 15? Make it 12? Maybe 15 is fine. Yep. And anyway, let's just hide this. And let's keep painting. So yeah, we're back. I just muted the microphone. Ugh. So how do I, again, the question is how do I paint a mech without the details, while at the same time making it look like a mech? Huh? That's a good question. Look at how many lines are involved here. How do I simplify that? So, I do know silhouettes work a lot, so I think that should be the priority. Now, again, I could use layers, but I want to practice my direct painting approach. And just learn and be comfortable with painting over my mistakes. And I think I should take creative liberty and not be so focused on copying things one-to-one. Because it's not going to be as helpful, I guess. So most of the gun here is in shadow. And even this guy. So when doing mechs, a lot of edge control is necessary because you're doing a lot of hard edges. But in a way, it's simple because you're not doing a lot of gradients for the most part. In a way, you're kind of being somewhat graphical with your work. I'll make this dark. I'll make this dark and then add some lights. Yep. Bam, bam. Not a bad sketch. It's pretty bad, but shit. It's garbage, but fuck it, you know. sketching is pretty hard. Shit. Um, how can I suggest the parts aside from using silhouettes? Shapes, obviously. This one is pretty thick. It's supposed to go like this, actually. There you go. Like this. And there's going to be an empty space here showing the sky. Whoa. If I may. And let's contain this and do this. I'm using a bunch of approaches here. Shapes, impressions, shapes, line work, or contours. Hopefully over time, as I keep doing these sessions, I can be more efficient. The gun here is pretty much, there's hardly any detail, but it's fine. I want to get the impression of this thing. I think that for this mech, like there's this part in the back where it can hold a sword. So that's pretty cool. Shadow here in gray. And then a big spike here. Kind of like the head of the Evangelion mech. Now again, the photo or the snapshot here. The exposure is pretty high, so fuck it. Artistic liberty. Shit. Should I zoom in? If I flip the canvas and zoom out in this level, I think it's okay in this view. Jesus. But if I zoom in, it needs a lot of work. But it's not bad. It's good in this level. So make sure you solve the big problems first, and then eventually. So yeah, maybe that's the trick in sketching, making sure that you solve the big problems first. So it should look like a mech in thumbnail view. Sometimes I do forget the basics, bruh. I think this is the knee. So I'm using some line work here. Very rough indication of the foot, the knee over here, and then the quads. Oof. In light, part of the brace for the leg or the foot. Excuse me. So there's a bit of a hand here. It's hard to see. So suggestion of the handle and the fingers. So finger. It's pretty rough, but it is what it is. Do this, bruh. Um, anyway, I think this is fine. I think we're at 30 minutes now. So we have to speed things the hell up. Oh yeah, big problems first. Big problems first. I keep forgetting. Being able to focus not just in doing art, but actually the process of making art is another thing you have to consider. It's so easy to get distracted and a lot of awareness is important. I don't want to fill the entire background. I can also focus on the negative and positive shapes. So in this area, you can see a cut here, an angle here, and then a cut here. So cut, angle, cut. So I know there are many other contour changes, but we're going to focus on the big three. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. For this guy, it's essentially flat. It's almost like a tangent, where you can see a bunch of tangents. So it's essentially just one line for the most part. The negative, positive shapes, or start with impressions and then negative and positive shapes. There's also a part in the back where you're kind of like, not kind of, but they're propulsion systems. And they're pretty realistic, which I do like. Shit. You can see a bit of sign here, because it's like a jet fuel. Or like a fighter plane, essentially. And I think that's what makes it realistic. It has that. It feels solid and just realistic. So. There's a bit of a negative space over here. The arm, the bicep is here. So let me make this cut. So, cut, 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 and then cut, cut, cut. This ought to be slightly longer. Kind of like this. Cut. I'm not sure what these are, but I have to add them in. My back hurts. Shit. So let's keep ourselves zoomed out still, and let's avoid zooming in for a while. Right now, I'm realizing that painting does take longer, but it's kind of mindless in a way. Well, not totally mindless, because you have to be aware of, say, the major shapes, silhouettes. but it's not super analytical. And besides, you're mostly color picking anyway, so it's not that difficult of a process to do. By the way, I am using my screen display, my XP Pen 13.3 Pro. I mean, I also have a larger one, a 22 XP Pen. What's the name of it? 22E Pro. But I actually don't use it as I don't use it as much. It's more of a monitor um than a tablet. But it's nice to have that option. Oh, I'm procrastinating again. Shit. Ugh. Does it look like a mech in this view? It has to look like a mech. Make the hole. Come here. Add some lights. Lights. V. And then. It's pretty rough, but this one seems rather small. By the way, I do have a mouth sore, so it's kind of ugh. I feel kind of shitty. Fuck. I mean, you can always lasso things, but that's kind of cheating. But not really. So this is more of a painting study. But I could do more. I can do more God. I can do more analytical stuff. After. This mouth sore that I have, it's pretty annoying. Ugh. It's so invasive. And just not cool. And it hurts. Well, not hurts, but it's annoying. Fuck it. I'm going to hit the lasso here. Or shit. Guy. Control T. Enlarge it. Boom. By the way, I have a shortcut, Control Shift V. So every time I hit that, it creates a copy or it flattens everything and creates a new layer of that thing. So it helps me to lasso things easier. It's my personal shortcut. So God, why am I so dehydrated? Fuck. And you know what? I don't always have to talk when doing these sessions. It's tempting, but you know, I do a lot of talking in the art reviews and art talks, no shit. So, you know, maybe I can talk before and or kind of in the beginning of the session just to kind of talk about what I'm going to sketch or what I have to do. And then once I'm close to finishing, I can just summarize what I've done so far and just reflect on my progress. So to save time, I think, or I can just mute in the middle. I'll just mute the microphone, and then once I'm done with the session, I can unmute the microphone, and then that's when I can start talking again and just again reflect on my shit. So you know what? I'm going to do that now, and I did aim to just sketch for 1 hour, but I could make this session an hour and a half just because, yeah. So I'm going to mute the mic and I'll see you in a. I'm still doing this real time, by the way, so don't be afraid. Um, I will leave uh the piano music on though, or the background music on. So, oh, by the way, this video is sponsored by. You can check out the brushes in the link in the description, and yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to mute the mic. So I'll see you soon. Maybe I'll start talking and say an hour once I reach the 1 hour mark. Fuck. So yeah. Hi. So I'm back. It's I think it's been an hour now. So by the way, there is this awesome tool in Clip Studio Paint called the lasso fill. So it's essentially the lasso tool, but once you've closed the selection, it fills up the selection automatically. And here are my settings, I guess, for it. The opacity for me is at 80%, and it has a bit of stabilization, just a bit. And yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty specific to Clip Studio Paint. And it's a great way to do a bunch of quick sketches. And I think I may have to resort to this tool to start out my sketches. And I think it does help with the graphical kind of look. So let's say these are some darks here. Or we'll try sketching or painting over this, or sketching over, or we'll try sketching on top of this. So I can color pick a color. Shadows. Maybe we'll hit this purple or bluish purple, as you can see. So it's a great way to mask your paintings. And yes, it looks amazing. So I recommend, if you haven't tried using the lasso fill, you should try it out. And I do like adding a bit of opacity for the fill, just because it's easy to paint on, and it adds a bit of a character, I guess. And let's say you could hit the brush tool, and use some kind of mixer brush or blending brush. Say, hopefully you can see it. Some kind of blending brush, and do this. As you can see. We'll try a different brush here. A blending airbrush. And then you can start painting over it with, say, this guy. With a more oily brush, perhaps. And you can start sculpting and being more specific. So that's the idea, at least. It's a great way to just start out a painting. And eventually, if you keep using the lasso fill, and the smaller you go, you can eventually add more detail. So I think this is a super cool tool to use in Clip Studio Paint. I'm not sure what this thing is, but as you can see, it looks fantastic. Anyway. I'm not sure what to do now. I think I'll leave it here, and then I can just continue my sessions tomorrow with the new one. So I think I'll just end the video now. So hopefully, I think I've learned something in this session. So let me just hit this guy. Yeah. So I did sketch or practice something for 1 hour, and I've learned a few things. I should use the lasso fill tool more to help start out the painting and be more, I guess, graphical. And I was able to fix a lot of my mistakes with the lasso fill, so I should try being more. I should try utilizing it more often, especially in the beginning. So hopefully I can do better in the next session. And yeah, so keep drawing, keep painting, keep learning, and stay free.